I'm Sir Rick, and we're coming to you this morning. Dude, quit trying to mimic me. I'm going to be
I'm
the
doing
glass
Horatio
guy.
Cade. You can do what you're doing. I'm doing
Brett Barrett. I'm going to get it figured out. I've actually been practicing this. I keep doing it. Now it's like a habit. I do it all. Even when I don't have my glasses on.
Please don't come to a meeting today doing that.
No, it's my new thing. There's no doubt about it. Hey, but we do want to welcome you as we focus on safety. BCB Live, for those of you that don't know, this is about safety. We're talking safety in the trucks, out of the trucks, and we're not just talking to the truck drivers. We're talking to the driver managers, the recruiters, companies that ship out freight. If you ship out freight, if you receive freight, hey, guess what? You too have some accountability, responsibility to the safety of a driver.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that?
And not only that, let's talk about it and let's get down to the meat of it. Every single person that gets on the road has a responsibility to safety. Doesn't matter if you're on a bicycle or if you're jogging or if you're in a four-wheeler or what have you. You have a responsibility to be safe out there and protect others while you're out there on the road.
And your actions do,
of course they do,
create, a driver to be a little bit more safe, right? I mean, you think about it. If you cut off a driver in a four-wheeler, they're not real happy. I mean, if they got to slam the brakes on, and understand that a lot of them, Dave, in today's world technology, they have just exactly the same technology that you have in that BMW. Yeah. They have the same thing that you have in your Ford. It is all there. Their vehicle is going to stop.
And lock up.
Talk to me about that. When you're driving a big truck, big boy truck, and I know Drive Safe Dave has been years and years and years, decades since you've been out there on the road. But when that locks up on you because somebody cuts in front of you, that can't be real comfortable.
It's not only the fact that not only the surge, but let's talk about it in a minute. Which is heavier when you're pulling a loaded? It's the trailer or the tractor? Which is heavier?
The trailer?
Yes. Okay. The load is heavier, and the load wants to drive the vehicle, and so you have the opportunity for a jackknife, and that's typically what happens in a jackknife scenario. The load moves quicker than the cab, and then it causes it to try to drive the vehicle itself, and you have that possibility, and especially in inclement weather conditions when the road's a little bit slippier. So yeah, don't cut off a big truck and slam on the brakes and expect everything to be okay, because it can be un-okay.
Hey, a
really
little math quiz for you, producer. What is heavier, 1,000 pounds of bricks or 1,000 pounds of feathers?
Wouldn't they be the same?
They are exactly the same.
You would not have gotten that. You know what? You were like, bricks,
1965 joke.
All right. It was easily 1960. It's going back. That's old school days. It's Wednesday. Hey, but we're talking about weight, and there seems to be another weight issue regarding one of the Evergreen's ships. We have another ship stuck out in the Chesapeake Bay now, grounded. And Dave, this isn't a small little yacht. This is a 1,096-foot ship.
Oh yeah,
stuck.
And this time it's here locally. We get some of the joy here.
So does that mean that the people in that own that port, are they going to make a lot of money?
I don't know. Are they going to impose sanctions and to confiscate it? And then I don't know. The premise is set, right? I mean, you've got it. It is there. It's been for sure. So listen to this. So
1,096 foot. Dave, that's almost 3.5, 4 football fields. That is just, when you just think about 4 football fields out there floating in the ocean, that's amazing. That's a little bit smaller than the one that got stuck, but this is Ever Forward is the name of this.
Ever Forward.
And I'm wondering when they're going to change the name to Ever Stuck.
Stuck.
Seriously, stop. Enough's enough.
Ever stopped.
Hey, but I do want to talk about that. We have an interview today. We're going to talk a little PPE today.
Oh, yeah.
Love that. You know what? I am PPE. Drive Safe Dave. I'm all about it right here. You know what? I got my safety glasses on. I got my mask on. I got my hat on.
You know what? This is the perfect interview today for Sir Rick, because let me tell you, and just to let everybody know, he goes everywhere like this. I mean, he goes everywhere. We go to lunch, we go to dinner, we go everywhere we go. We go to meetings. Rick's wearing the PPE all the time.
I'm all about it.
All the time. Not just He's not just talk when it comes to PPE. Rick actually wears this stuff. We'll go have a cocktail afterwards, and he's the brightest guy walking in the room.
Typically am.
Neon.
A couple things, an update real fast. So day 2 at Sir Rick's house with 9
Oh, yeah, I want to hear the
kids.
date. Okay.
It was another successful day.
All right.
Let me tell you that it's been really, and of course, I wasn't home the whole time, but while I was there, it was pretty pain-free. And when Sir Rick's pain-free, it's a great day for everybody. We did have some pizza yesterday. Kids enjoyed it. We had a great time yesterday. Again,
is it pizza day every day?
You know what? It's not every day, but it's a simple thing to when you have the kids. But this is a homemade pizza, and the kids love it. They're digging into it. Drive safe, Dave. Let's hop back into a little bit of business. I do want to say this before we go to break. All right, so here we go. We did have fuel stabilized for a day, and it stabilized high. Okay, I want to make sure you understand. It stabilized like that 5.12 a gallon mark, so it's not like, woo, it's still 5.12 a gallon.
$100 a barrel.
All right, so here we have, Dave. We have seen the freight come down to nearly moving down. It's like 14,000 now. It's almost 13,000. It's almost, yeah. So we've seen the freight go from 15,000 on its way down, and it's like 14,086 shipments a day. Volume is going down.
Yep.
What's also going down continues to be the rejections. As we moved into, the rejections came down to 16.5%.
Wow.
Okay, so what that means is that there's just less spot freight out there on the market. We've seen this, Dave, and here we go. So now, if we go back to February the 9th, February 6th through the 9th, that time frame, we've seen a 9.85 reduction in price from the spot market. Nothing else. We're talking spot market. We're talking owner-operators. We're talking company drivers or companies that are going out there just bidding a lot of freight on the spot market. We've seen nearly a 10% reduction in that rate on that.
That's huge.
That's 20 to 30 cents depending on what you're getting, right? And with that, if we go back to that same period, and we spoke about this yesterday, February the 9th, Dave, we've seen now a 23 cent per mile at 6.75 reduction in your cash flow.
Because of fuel.
Right. Since the 9th, Dave. That's at 2,700 miles. We're talking $1,400 a week of cash less in your pocket than it was back in February 9th, just a little over a month ago.
Yeah, and that's huge. And now we've been talking about it. We've been bringing it to everybody's attention. A month later, now you're looking at almost $6,000 of cash you've lost per truck.
Independent contractors, owner-operators, listen, this is affecting you right now.
Yep.
And again, when you talk to us, we try to tell you a little bit what's going on, it is not the time right now to enter into that market, especially if you're paying high rates on the truck.
Right.
If you buy the truck at a reasonable rate, listen, you're going to be okay. But those of you that just purchased a truck last year, let me tell you, this is going to affect your bottom line when you paid more than the truck was worth 3 or 4 years ago. So just things that you've got to make sure you're looking at, and you've got to manage your business to make sure that you're taking home as much money as you can. And if you don't go out and buy that brand new Mercedes right now because the rates are crazy, don't buy that brand new home. Listen, this market is trying to correct itself right now. And with fuel as high as it is right now, Dave, it's going to affect your bottom line, and watch out for that because it's straight cash, homie.
It's right out of the pocket, and it's, you know what, you budgeted for it a long time ago, and then all of a sudden, bam, here you are.
Yes, sir. So that's what it is. Hey, listen, we're coming back in 60 seconds. We have our interview today. We're excited to talk a little PPE, my favorite subject, coming next on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. and welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Joining us today is Amy Roosa, co-founder of Iowa Women in Safety, and Dave, like me, a safety PPE advocate.
Absolutely.
Good morning, Miss Amy. How are you doing? Look, you know what? I'm in love. I found another mate. Hey, Kendra, I'm sorry, but Amy's taking your place now.
Yes.
Amy, good morning.
Good morning. You look very dashing in your private.
All right. Hey, Amy, so tell us who you are and what it is you do. We'd like you to introduce yourself a little bit about what's going on with you and what you do.
Okay. Just one second. So my name's Amy Roosa. I am the co-founder of the Iowa Women in Safety Conference and Group. I've been in the safety industry for 18 years, and very recently I started becoming a PPE advocate for women in safety.
All right, Amy, and I see here, I heard your over 18 years of leadership experience in our industry and a passion to transform safety, specifically this gear that we wear. It's you can order it for women. We've done it here before, but it really doesn't have that fit, right? I mean, we have got to do a better job of creating. As heck, it doesn't even fit me sometimes. I mean,
Okay.
This gear, I'm telling you, the gear on the safety, the PPE side, it's kind of weird fit. I mean, and I can imagine for women, it doesn't take into a lot of the considerations. Amy, talk to us about that.
Yeah, so safety or PPE has been around forever, but it hasn't been there for women. Mm-hmm. And only in the last few years have we actually started seeing the market grow as more people are coming forward saying we need the PPE made for women. The industries are starting to grow, like the trucking industry, welding, all the different trades. So now the manufacturers are finally stopping and saying, yeah, we need to start making more PPE that works for women because now it's becoming a safety issue.
For sure. Hey, Amy, what made you kind of gear your passion towards this? Was it did something happen or what was that?
Probably getting fed up hitting every doornail or door handle with my safety vest on a regular basis. Very early on in my career, I got handed a safety vest that was a size large because that's all the employer had at the time. And that's what I had to wear, but it was bulky. It didn't fit me right. All throughout the day, I'm making adjustments to myself, and I'm catching on every little thing in my environment, and that's becoming a safety issue. That's becoming a risk for me. It's becoming a distraction for me as well. So I started really looking in the last few years as I was consulting, as I was building the Women in Safety Conference, to looking at the vendors that were making this stuff and trying to get it more out there for people to know that it's out there.
When you talk about it not fitting well, you tended to more likely not wear it or not want to wear it or not want to jump into it because, I'd rather just not deal with it because it's causing more problems than I feel like it's saving, right? I mean, you kind of that balance, and you're kind of circumventing that by filling this void.
Absolutely.
And Amy, you bring up something, and Dave, since he's not a big believer like you and I, Amy, let's face it. So we're like talking to him right now. But when you wear those jackets, and I even have some of those or the vests that just don't fit, you brought it up, they catch on things, door handles, cabinets, and you're walking, you're like, you get thrown right back into it. And it creates an unsafe situation. I can imagine for a driver getting out of a truck, you take a female driver that's got an oversized vest that it can catch on something, Dave, and as she's trying to come down 3 points of contact, she's getting hooked up on something, is a better chance to also fall out of that tractor. Those are legitimate concerns, especially on the oversized PPE product.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
Amy, I was going to ask you not only that, but like having been worked with gear on job sites and stuff, we're also talking about like boots that have never really been out there for like steel-toe boots, right? That have never really been out there for women and other type of protective gear that we've always just worn, and hats and all these other things that were never really truly designed. Are you having genuine success with the vendors in these type of categories?
So very recently, you've had two female creators. If you see the shoes up above on my nice PPE closet, that might rival Sir. Those are Gino Jones shoes. Those are made by a woman for women. You have Xena footwear made for women by women, and it's stylish shoes that give me confidence when I'm out on the manufacturing floor or a job site. They fit my feet better. They're not what manufacturers have done in the past, which is take a men's shoe, make it a little bit smaller, slap some pink on it, and call it good. We don't want that. We want something that fits us.
Oh wow, that's great. And it also, have you does it also like ear protection and eye protection and hat and all these things? I mean, you're talking about a total change in the way we look at it. Can it also go towards like customizing it? So like you talk about me, I have a super huge head.
Yeah, there's not many men that have a size of head like this guy.
It doesn't fit a hard hat. It's like it just fits on top like a weird bowl and then and other things. So are you looking at more customizable type products? I mean, because that's exciting to hear.
You bring up a good point, like safety glasses, for instance. If you look at women, we have more petite heads, I guess is the best way to describe it, but we're smaller frames, so we need glasses that fit us, and historically it hasn't been out there. I don't know how many glasses I have in my safety PPE drawer that I put them on and there are hazards there. Things can get into my eye because it's not formed to my face as a woman. You're going to see probably that change in the industry continue as manufacturers are asking the right questions, they're listening to their customer, and they're redesigning the equipment. The other holdup that we might see is we have to wait for the standards, the ANSI standards, to get rewritten so that we can redesign PPE.
Wow.
So the reason why you don't see the smaller sizes there for a while was high vis in the ANSI standard is written to a certain spec. You couldn't put that on an extra small shirt and give it to a woman because then it didn't meet the ANSI standard. So places like the American Society of Safety Professionals, they are hoping to champion rewriting those standards.
Have you seen some companies that do better than others in offering these patterns, these fits for women on the high vis side?
Yeah, so like what I'm wearing right now, this is Unity Pro. They have several different lines for women. They're continuing to progress their development on that. Radiance is another one. Behind me, I also have Bulwark, Ariat, Carhartt. Those are companies that I champion and I talk about the most because they are doing the most for women out there. And I feel like they deserve to be talked about. And we have to get their names out there so that everybody knows when they go to order PPE, those are the brands they need to be supporting because they're supporting our trades back by providing this.
When we talk about PPE, not just sizes and fit, but you know what? Are they making it more fashionable, the PPE, instead of just a bright orange, but a better look? I know Sir Rick's over here sporting
polo shirt.
The crossing guard shirt. But I'm asking, are they making them more specific designs or different stuff you can get? I mean, I'm just curious because if you enjoy wearing it, don't you want to wear it more? I'm just curious.
Right, and you're a little more confident if it's designed differently. You are seeing the manufacturers play with color, especially black now on a majority of the clothing line, and making it more stylish, which I think for men and women, that's a nice thing to have on the job site. That way you feel comfortable leaving your job site and going out to lunch wearing it because it looks good and it feels comfortable, and you're confident wearing it.
Hey, tell me a little bit though, Amy. I do want to jump in this. So you're co-founder of Iowa Women in Safety. Talk to us about this, about that foundation or that group.
Yeah, so we started about 4 years ago out of a need just to get women together in a space where we could talk about some of the issues that we faced in our profession that maybe we were having roadblocks with. And my co-founder in the community college, Cookwood Community College here in Iowa, was gracious enough to give us the space to start the conversation. And we've been continuing it now for 4 years. So when we started, I had really just hoped that we would have 10 people show up, and we had around 50. This year we have 110 members, and it keeps growing strong. And that can be anybody in the safety profession, whether you're an HR person that does a little bit of safety or you're the person on the safety committee. We encourage anybody to come to the conference, to join the Facebook group, to ask questions within that group, to share resources, and to share that connection within the community.
You know, Amy, here at BCB Live, we share your passion for safety, and we like anybody that talks about it. And it sounds like when you go to these, y'all are starting to make it. You go from 50 to 100 and something. Sounds like y'all are making it a little fun over there at the Women in Safety meeting, right? Sounds like y'all are getting in there and having some fun with it and trying to change
You're not welcome there. He's trying to get an open invitation.
I was trying to figure out how I get it.
Men are more than welcome to come. We want men to
There
come.
you go, Sir Rick.
Experience it, be a part of it. And also, you guys are our advocates too, right?
Yes,
when
ma'am.
you're
Absolutely.
out there and somebody's saying something about needing PPE, you can stop and ask the question at any time, are we getting PPE that's inclusive to our workforce?
Wow.
That's why we need you guys to be there for us.
Well, I can tell you this. We're definitely going to talk about this on the show. I put down this, and Amy, here's some things I'm going to ask you for. If you could, you can email us back at the show. I believe you have not. We have your email, but love to know those companies that you just talked about, the Carhartt, Unity Pro Radiance, and I don't think I got them all down, so I want to love to get that information on those that are doing, more for the women on this PPE. And also, I want to include some of these insurance companies, the folks up in Iowa that we know up there as well, and I want to put them in contact with you to help support this, because safety is critical, and you're hitting it right on the right spot, is because, how you feel, and the clothing has to fit. It's got to look good as well. You're more encouraged to wear it out there on the field, because let's face it, whether it's truck driving safety, getting out of that truck safety, or the work comp that goes along with it, because, the toes and the feet, they've got to be probably the biggest areas that have the accidents on it, right? And we've got to have more PPE to at least identify that. And I think when you have bright clothes on, or you have gloves on that fit and you're wearing them, talk to me, Amy, doesn't that just make you more aware as the user and as the one that's wearing that PPE product as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Do you have and I saw I was listening to it a little bit. You also, and I forget about the other things, the other PPE, like ear protection. And I forget about all those other things that actually genuinely matter in the long term. Do you talk about all those things in your meetings and how we can improve those and how we can get the word out? Because I think really this is all about education, right, Amy? This is about getting the word out to everybody about these needs.
Yeah, especially, hearing protection. You guys have a huge issue with hearing protection, right? You guys are driving, you're around loud machinery all day. That's a huge part of your industry that you have to be aware of. Women in safety, we do talk about those subjects. We do look at what's trending out for new changes within like the standard, but also what the manufacturers are doing. And I will say this, I'm a hearing conservationist, so one of my pet peeves is seeing people take hearing protection, put it in your pocket, and keep reusing it. Don't do that. Throw it away. Get new hearing protection. Get the new little foam rollers, whatever you want to call them, and get fresh packs. Don't reuse those. It's disgusting. You're going to get an ear infection.
Okay, so I'm guilty because I've used the little phones to go hunting and or to go shooting.
He does that with Q-tips too, Amy. It's not just with
Not
that.
true.
It's with Q-tips, anything like that. He does the same thing. Hey, Amy, I want to thank you for being part of BCB Live, being on the show. One thing we ask everybody on the show is at the end of it, we ask you to say your name, the foundation or the company you're with, and then to say, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining me on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
That's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot.
My name's Amy Roosa. I'm a safety professional and the co-founder of the Iowa Women in Safety Conference. And thank you for letting me be on BCB, safest station in the nation.
All right.
Bam.
Thank you very
Great
much.
job, and thank you, Amy. We're going to be there. Look for an email, and we'll from us to you. We're going to see what we can do to pump this up, because what you're doing is critical for women and for just the trucking industry, safety industry in total. So thank you, Amy, for all that you do.
Thank you, guys.
All right, drive safe, Dave. You know what?
I'm gonna probably have to. I'm gonna.
My heart is full.
I don't know.
My heart is full.
You may have turned me. Amy may have turned me into wearing some really cool safety gear.
Sounds like you just told me I may have turned you.
No, it's definitely Amy with the Iowa group.
Let me tell you, it's an impressive. It's impressive for anybody to do that, because safety is more than just. And I know we focus on truck driving here, Dave. But it's when you're out there in the yard, when you're out there in the truck stop, you've got to have the right material on. You got to have that vest on. If you're not wearing it all the time, you've got to have it on the yard. And Dave, whether it's daylight or dark out, you still have to have it on.
Yeah, and it's not just it's not the bright gear. Also, it's the right shoes, right? It's the
How
right.
many people do you see today? And I wonder how many users out there right now are walking around full time in sandals. In flip-flops.
Flip-flops, yeah.
Flip-flops. You see it all the time.
And I'm a big proponent of gloves. I talk about it all the time. You really need to protect yourself when you're dealing with that equipment out there. They can cut you, the seals, everything. It's just dangerous. You can get your hands hurt, and I'll tell you, a leather glove will protect you. And you know what? It is exciting to know that there are people still focusing on and doing the work out there to get the message out. I'm excited about it. It is important. Safety touches every part of our lives. And if we get excited about it, we see even more how we can change and be better when it comes to safety.
I will say this, and Jack can attest to that. We have a group from New York that's trying to get into the BCB Live to do a little sponsorship, to do some clothing provided by, because they also see the value in what we do and how we talk about it. And how we do it. Dave, they brought up, I talked to them yesterday, they brought up the shirts that you wear and how critical that is as well, Dave, to their idea. And Jack, you're going to like this. They're saying, you know what? What if we made a shirt for Drive Safe Dave and it had Velcro on it and we just slapped a different freaking decal on it every day?
Yeah, that was a great idea, honestly. It'd be easier instead of having to make new shirts every day.
He wears the same, it's like Q-tips and,
Poor Bryce.
and ear protection.
Yeah, but can I get more than one shirt instead of the same shirt every day? Can I get more than one shirt with a Velcro?
Well, you can thank our intern Bryce for that. She does a great job of making Dave's shirts right now. So she'll be making patches instead.
And Drive Safe Dave, he's used to everybody. If you want something done, you got to do it for him. He'll take credit for it. He's got no problem doing that. He just don't want to do the work.
I think she does a great job in making sure that some of the new collared shirts that I'm getting, she's helped.
Big fans of the collared shirt, Drive Safe Dave. Yeah. You can pull off a collared shirt just like you can pull off that phrase that pays. Real quick, Drive Safe Dave, what is that phrase that pays?
Safety in the car, safety in the truck. Listen to BCB to get safety struck.
One more time.
Safety in the car, safety in the truck. Listen to BCB to get safety struck.
Coming up next is Buckle Up Bob on BCB Live.
The safest station in the nation.
and you should have a pretty good commute going on this morning. As we go to the next, Kansas City. Kansas City looks great, 70. Got a little problem here. You know, this is on the westbound side as you approach. Just get inside the first loop. You've got a little bit there by Independence. So, again, just be patient. It's not a real big one, so I'd say another 10 to 15 minutes, and you should get through that. All the other highways and arteries look good. 435, Lenexa looks good. 70 on the west side, Lawrence coming in, and 35 coming up from the south. As well as you leave or coming down from the north, 29 and 35 also look great, as does the loop in Kansas City this morning. Chicago. The 80-94 crossing the state line looks really clean. Joliet, 80 looks good. 55 coming up, Plainfield, Brook looks good. 88, no issues coming in from Aurora and Naperville. And then also 90 up here. Elgin and Schaumburg look good, and 94 coming down from the north looks real good. The loop has a little bit of a problem on 55 here. As you can see, the merge point by Oak Lawn, but other than that, you look really good. The 355 looks really clear. Atlanta. Same problems, 85 southbound, 20 coming in from the east westbound. You're looking good up here, or a little bit back up just before you get to 285. A little bit of problem down here in Union City, south of the airport. 85 coming up from the south. Looks pretty, got a little bit of problem here. And then leaving the city, there's a pretty good backup as you get to Union City. 20 usually is still backed up as you come into 285. So this is the eastbound direction. Gonna have a problem. And once you get inside the loop, if you're delivering inside that loop, you got a pretty good backup here inside 285 loop, and that's heading that eastbound direction. As you can see, all kinds of issues all the way around from 20 east side to the 20 west side. 75 coming down from the north also has some issues all the way back up to Marietta, Georgia. And again, so does 19 as you get south of Alpharetta. You're going to have a problem. And you can see 75 goes all the way up here. And then 575 near Woodstock, you also have some issues on the southbound. So Atlanta, you've got to be patient. Pack extra patience this morning in Atlanta. As we look at Nashville, not too bad, 24. Still, you know, a headache, but not quite as bad as it usually is all the way down here. So, again, a little bit of an improvement. But then when you get to that 40-24 split down here at the southeastern side of the city, you're going to have some major delays. So just be patient. It's that typical spot there every day almost. So you just got to be patient. Same as up north, east of the city. You've got the 24-65 split there coming from the southbound direction. But 40 east and west look pretty good this morning as you come in and out of Nashville. Look for Baltimore area, right? Again, not too bad. It looks just like a normal commute. I mean, the northern side and the western side of 695, they're always an issue. And a little bit of a problem on 70 as you come in on the eastbound lanes as you approach the split here near Ellicott City. But the big issue here, again, as we look, 295, the connector coming south, is a problem all the way backed up here to Hanover, all the way down to the Washington, D.C. 495 outer loop there. And then again, 95 looks pretty good until you get to the loop. But the big one's 295 has a lot of traffic this morning. 270, also the southbound, is backed up past Clarksburg. So again, and that's all the way, you're going to run into that all the way to 495 loop to just north of Bethesda, Maryland. And then as you get on the loop, you can see the eastern side and north has issues. The west, not as bad. We do have a little problem on 66. You can see Sudley, Centerville, right? Then you get a little break, and then after you get past Fair Oaks on the east side, you're going to have some traffic all the way to the loop. As the south, 95 coming up from the south, you've got problems back here at Woodbridge, Lorton, right? And then again at Springfield, right at that loop merge point. So DC, some major hot spots there this morning. Make sure, yield that right away. Let them in. and you won't have any problems this morning. Look at Philadelphia. Philadelphia is horrible this morning, folks, and that's on both sides of the river. New Jersey, you can see a lot of backup to 295, Belmar, and then again south on 42 and 55. You also have some major issues. And then as we get into the Philadelphia area, we've got the typical 95 along the river, but 476 is backed up, and that's normal. But the 76 is really dark red all the way past King of Prussia. Almost up here in Phoenixville, it's backed up too, as you can see. So you've got a lot of and there's no green here, folks. So if you're coming in to the Philadelphia southbound, you have got a major backup. It's going to take you 20 to 30 minutes. So maybe seek an alternate route, or you got to pack your patience, or maybe just get off the road and let it die down a little bit. See if it doesn't improve for you. Because again, sitting there isn't going to help you in any way, shape, or form, but sitting out at a truck stop could eliminate an accident potential for you. So Philadelphia got some major issues this morning, especially on the 76 Turnpike. Indianapolis, the loops look horrible. The southern part looks really bad, all the way from 37 to past 65 down here at Beach Grove, and that's in both directions, as you can see. We also have some problems up here on the northbound side from Lawrence up past 69 runoff, and as you approach 31 going north to Carmel. And then again, another trouble spot at this merge point south of Zionsville, where 465, 865, and the 65 merge points all hit there as well. 70 looks pretty clear. Just a normal 5-10 minute delay that is usually there as you come in from the north side of the city and drop below it and then around to the airport. So you shouldn't have too much of a problem passing through on 70. It looks like your best bet today. As we're going to look at the weather, the winds kind of died down, and I don't think we're going to get a whole lot today, as you can see. Some mid-20s up in Montana and the Dakotas. And as we go through our day, right, kicks up a little bit in the south there in the 20s. Again, Oklahoma City could see the worst of it at 33. So if you're in them 30-mile-an-hour gusts, drivers, slow it down. Get down to 55 and you should be okay. Be mindful of the wind. Take it serious, right? Remember, these are forecasted gusts, which means there could be a isolated 45 or 50-mile-an-hour gust that pops up. As we look at our precipitation, our rain, right, you can see that storm system that pushed through Dallas the other night, Sunday night, I think it was, or Monday night, is now out here in North Carolina, or South Carolina and North Carolina, and some lingering showers approaching Georgia, and it's passed through Florida. So, again, be mindful of those strong storms and heavy rainfall. There is a system coming in the northwest. It's going to have a lot of wet precipitation. It's going to have some 1 to 3 inches in most cases, in the upper elevations, but then there's going to be a half to an inch of rain behind it. So again, it's that time of the season where you get those mudslides and all that. So be mindful of that when you're traveling on those highways up in these upper elevations. This weekend, they are expecting some wet weather with a snow and then followed by some rainfall that could be heavy in certain spots. And then as we go into our Thursday, there you can kind of see some snow in the upper elevations of Denver. I mean, they're talking less than an inch, so it's not expected to be too much. And you can see some rain in the D.C. area tomorrow. So that commute could be really bad in the Philadelphia and the Washington, D.C. area tomorrow. And then let's look at our winds just to make sure. All right, we are going to have some wind problems tomorrow for New Mexico, Kansas, the Oklahoma Panhandle, and most of Texas. So we'll see when that's kind of starts to pop up. It looks like it's going to be after rush hour. About 9 o'clock, we start getting into the upper 20 gusts. And then by noon, we have the really strong potential. So drivers out there, plan accordingly. Get with your company, get with your driver managers. Let them know that, hey, I may be going 55 miles an hour, and so this is going to be a slower commute so that you can be safe. You can see Kansas by noon, 38-mile-an-hour gusts predicted. So we'll keep an eye on that. And again, we'll be right. Stay tuned for more weather, but we're going to take a quick break and be right back with some safety. Good morning. Welcome back. It is Buckle Up Bob, and you are tuned into BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. This week we've been talking about safe lane changing, right? And, it seems like such a simple maneuver, but as we find out, there's all kinds of aspects to it, right? We talked about your spacing, watching that, right? Signaling your intention, right? So others know what's going on. And so today we also want to say, hey, you got to check your mirrors, right? If you're not sure of what you see, or you have any doubts about the spacing as you look in these mirrors, then that is your red flag to just stop and pause, right? Patience, and wait a minute to think that you're sure. One of these things, and this happens in all aspects of accident investigation, is the driver said, I thought. None of them knew, or they'll even mention some of the warning flags. I had one yesterday, and the driver said, well, it was parked really tight, and it was like, well, why wouldn't you just get the hostler to pull it out? Let somebody else take that risk, right? If there's no hostler, then you stop, and you get your company involved, right? Let's fix the problem that's creating the potential danger. Remember, potential danger is real danger. It's kind of like where there's smoke, there's fire, as they always said, right? So if you've got these warning flags, then you have a real risk for an accident. And that's what you got to do. Prevent them all. Don't try to be the hero. Don't try to be super trucker, right? If it's too tight and it's risky, you may or may not make it. But don't worry about it. Just don't do it. And then you will not have that accident, right? And so again, not looking and properly understanding what you're seeing, right? It's not just a matter of looking in your mirrors, but understand what's going on is a major cause of all accidents. Many times, I've heard drivers say, well, I looked in my mirror and I saw them, but I thought they were far enough back and they weren't going that fast. Well, that's because you have to take that 2 to 3 seconds. Hey, glance at it, look around, come back to them. If they moved closer, then that's where it takes that 3 to 4 seconds of your signal. If you've got your signal on for 3 to 4 seconds, like we talked about yesterday, then that car coming up is either going to do one of two things. It's either going to back off, which you'll see the second look, or it's going to continue to speed up, which you'll now see it's closing on you, and then you just pause a little bit longer in making that safe lane change. Remember, when you make that lane change, whoever alters the traffic pattern, does not matter if that person is speeding in the other lane or not, whoever alters that pattern is always at fault. And again, we want to get away from the at fault. Quit worrying about at fault, but prevent them. And you prevent them by just staying in your lane and being patient till you know it's safe, that you have that space, that you have signaled in plenty of time, and that you've been able to check your mirrors not just once, but at least twice. We're going to see some videos, some good ones, and we're going to have one where this really comes into play. Here we talk about getting a big picture. Now, this driver does a great job. We've got a traffic light, but that four-wheel truck is blocked, right? The view is blocked, and therefore that truck goes through. They're caught tailgating. And again, we see all the time in these videos and in accidents where one bad decision leads to another bad decision and maybe even to 3 or 4. And in this case, tailgating, right? It's an unsafe action, right? Operation. And by tailgating, it led to running a red light because you could not see it. If you give the driver the benefit of the doubt, either the driver did it on purpose, which means there's 2 bad unsafe operations, or the first one led to the fact that I couldn't get the big picture, therefore I didn't know, and I end up running it, right? And then we know these intersections are dangerous. So you have to back off, get that big picture, and then you can see that there's plenty of warning. There's a stoplight ahead. You can see it in the other lane. So slow down and be prepared to stop, and then you can react to what you can't see. Here, again, why you keep that speed and space management and get that big picture. This vehicle needs this exit, and there's no room, so they end up stopping and making an illegal exit. But because this driver was managing speed and space, again, you must be able to stop. So whatever that is, you can see the white dashes are clipping along pretty quick there. So again, slow it down, and you can see they start to slow down. Count out loud. But you need that 5 seconds following distance just for this reason. Remember, if you can see 4 or 5 more cars, you've got moderate traffic, and therefore the speed limit is no longer in effect. It really shouldn't be in your thought process. So get under that speed limit, because these kind of things are going to happen, and you're able to react to them. Here again, this is the one we're talking about. Coming up on an incline, you can see slow-moving truck. And then we got a bad situation. It turns into a tailgate and then a quick lane change, right? We've seen some things happen on these quick lane changes. This is one of those where, I kind of did the math, and just to kind of put it in perspective for everybody out there, you stop and think, if you're 500 feet behind a vehicle, that's 5 seconds if you're traveling 100 feet per second, which is the rate you are traveling at 65 miles an hour, right? So you stop and think, here, you get up here, and you get to this point. Now you're slowing down, waiting for that car to go by, right? So you lose 2 or 3 seconds waiting, and then it takes you 2 seconds to make the lane change, right? So you've taken about 10 seconds. So at 65, 500 feet, in 5 seconds, you are going to be up there on that vehicle. Now, consequently, if you slow down to 50 feet per second, I don't know what that speed limit is, but let's say it's 50 miles an hour, 45 knocks you down to 50 feet per second. That is still going to take you 10 seconds to get to the same point that you got to quicker, but then had to wait to make your lane change. You didn't gain what you thought you gained. You didn't lose anything, because now what you did do was you increased, you kept your spacing, right? So right here, if you're slowing down to 50 feet per second, this car passes you quicker, you wait a couple more seconds, you still pass and get to the same point in that 10 seconds. So it's one of those things where you've just got to make sure that understand the math, understand your situation. What you're doing here is not safe. And there's a safer way to do it, and you will be at the same exact point. I mean, again, the math is there. It's easy to figure out. Just keep it simple. Hey, if I'm 500 feet behind a vehicle, and I'm going to be there and I'm traveling 100 feet per second, then I'm going to get to that point in 5 seconds. If I slow down to 50, it's going to take me 10 seconds. Well, that's what it did when you got up on this vehicle, had to slow down for 2 or 3 seconds while the other vehicle cleared you, and then signal your lane change out there. You still took the same 10 seconds. So you're still going to be right where you are. The only difference is you're going to be doing it with much increased space behind that vehicle, and you're going to make the lane change slower where this vehicle is well by you, because they're going to pass you a whole lot quicker when you slow down. And great job here, construction zone, right? Doesn't see a lot of workers present, but still great space behind the vehicle in front in case something goes wrong, and just a great speed here. And then you come up, there is, looks like there are a few workers in the area. So great job in the construction zone, really slowing down and managing the space.
This video, go back to that video for a second. Talk to me about this, Bob, because it almost looks like a video game here.
It does, don't it?
I mean,
just kind of the hue and stuff, and there's no lines, right? So it's very hard. But yeah.
I thought maybe you were trying to pull one off on us for a second here. I thought you had a video game going on. All right, go to the next video, Jack.
This one's kind of hard to see, but again, pretty good job. The vehicle comes in the lane, stops, but because of the speed and space, look at all the space between. That is what we're saying. You've got to understand that if there's more than 4 or 5 vehicles present, you have moderate traffic. In this case, you can see 10, 11 of them, and you've got merge points coming on. This really, the speed limits are no longer in effect here. Remember, that's for perfect conditions, not just weather, but traffic conditions, and you don't have them.
And it's good to see this driver in this video slow down, increase the space, not switch lanes. Yes. You know what? It is what it is. You have a lot of activity on this road. Slow down, increase your space, control that lane that you're in. Don't start moving areas right now. Sometimes we have that temptation that our lane's blocked. Let's go into that left lane. Yeah, we start jockeying for position. And when we do that, especially in this kind of traffic, Bob, bad things can happen. We may take that same lane that a four-wheeler is going to try to jump in and capture as well. So phenomenal job. You know what? Gold star right here from Sir Rick.
And you can see right there, this vehicle that came in the lane still has its left blinker on. So the odds are it's going to try to squeeze in there somewhere and maybe cause an accident. And so this driver's doing an outstanding job staying back just in case that happens. Again, great space. Here comes a white car over. Immediately increases the space back, gaining that safe distance, following distance behind it. Folks, this is what these videos show. You don't lose what you think you're going to lose, but you are way safer here. This is the safest option, right? They're going to pull out in front of you. But you immediately increase the space. Don't assume they're just going to speed up. This driver here immediately slows down and increases the space as that vehicle comes over, letting them in, yielding the right of way, all the things that you must do to prevent an accident. Remember, prevention is key, not fault.
All right, great videos, some great examples on that. And that, Bob, you really spoke hard on one video there. That's the one that we're kind of driving up on that. Listen, what we're trying to say is, when you catch yourself gaining on a truck in front of you like that, and we get it, right? Drive safe. When you're doing that, you're trying to maintain your speed. You're going uphill so you can pass the vehicle without slowing down on the hill in the big truck. I get it, right? However, when you're gaining like you're gaining on that big truck in front of you, you don't really know what's in front of this truck. You don't know, his hazards were on or the hazards were on. You don't know if they're going to apply the brakes real fast. And when that happens and you're gaining like you were, bad things can only happen out of that. And that's what it's about. We share these videos so when you catch yourself in that situation that you react a little bit different. And listen, we also understand, Dave, when we see those videos, that's probably happening to you many times in the course of a week. And maybe this is the only time
Hundreds.
we were able to capture it on a video. We want to show that for all of you. You know what? Because it only takes, and we talk about this, and the struggle in our industry, the struggle in what you're doing out there on the road, is it only takes one time to make a mistake. You can do it right 99% of the time. Mm-hmm. And yet that 1% you make a mistake on, it can be the end.
It can.
We talk about, and when we talk about these, we're talking about developing better habits. And when you make better habits and you create more and more better habits, your chances and opportunity for success go up exponentially. You increase the value of the way you drive, and you increase the ability to be better out there and not get into those difficult situations. You're going to find yourself behind somebody too close. You're going to find yourself in a position where, this isn't ideal. You're going to come up on a slow-moving vehicle. You're going to get squeezed in between lanes. You're going to have people cut you off. These things are going to happen continuously throughout the day. How you react to them as quickly as possible and as judiciously as possible to make the best decision at the time is what we're talking about here.
Yep. Hey, Jack, as always, if we have anybody with their hand raised, or if you have a question throughout these videos, raise your hand. When we're done with the videos, we'll always call on you, get a chance to do that. Dave, while we're talking about that, or while we're looking for the millions of people that are watching us right now, talk to us about your railroad sign crossing.
Well, it means railroad crossing ahead. This is a simple sign that means a lot. When you see this sign, you are going to be crossing a railroad track on the road that you are currently on. It is a warning to let you know to be able to look both ways. Always look down the tracks both ways, even if the gate is up, even if you're at an area. Make sure that you identify the potential danger of a train, because they, right, Bob, unforgiving.
They are undefeated in collisions.
Yeah, they are unforgiving, and I'm telling you, it only takes a quick second. When you see this sign, prepare for the obvious danger ahead. Sometimes gates don't work.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, too, we talk about the railroad, and Dave, I think you've been wearing, it seems like, I don't want to say the same shirt, but that railroad crossing to some degree, a few times in the last couple of weeks. Maybe that's a subject we need to get on. I see your sign and we talk about it, but maybe we need to focus on the railroad crossing. I know it seems like it's basic, and for many things I think it is basic, but however, there are areas that are full of railroad tracks. I'm talking full of them, and you've got to make sure you're reacting different in those situations. You really have to kind of look up ahead and see what's going. We have them here in Fort Worth.
Oh yeah, you've got a big area. The stockyards were a huge in shipping out cattle. There's a lot of railroad tracks in certain regions that do ship out a lot, and certain railheads, especially when you get near the railhead area, they go crazy. But genuinely, we forget a little bit about trains because most of the time they're not there. Most of the time they don't affect our drive. They don't affect when we cross them. Most of the time we roll over them. But I'm telling you, they are an area of genuine and deep concern and need your attention when you see these signs up ahead. Whether it's this sign, whether it's the reason I show you the traffic pattern one is because you won't see this one when the railroad is on a different road. It has to be on this road. To see this sign, it has to be on the road you're on. So there's going to be times when you're not going to see this sign, but you're going to be in, near, or may turn into a railroad crossing.
All right, Jack, you got a caller over there?
We do Brian Winsauer.
Hey, Mr. Winsauer, how you doing, sir?
Fantastic. Good morning, everybody. Hey, just a housekeeping deal. I had to go to BCB OKC yesterday, and the way we typically approach that yard from the south is we 35 to 240 to 152, then get off at Meridian. Well, don't do that this week. I did that. I made the very bad mistake of doing it yesterday. Meridian, south of the yard, is closed. Speaking of railroads, they are replacing and elevating the railroad tracks. So it's going to be closed for a while. You got to approach the yard from the north. There you go.
All right. Thank you for that,
Thank you, Brian.
sir. We appreciate that. And Brian had a good, did you watch the video that Brian sent in yesterday? The Georgia one. I want to show that too, but not today. We're going to show that tomorrow. The Georgia DOT officer, he posted a, he pulled a vehicle over.
Oh.
And it had the trailer and the lug.
The log hauler.
My
Yeah, the log hauler.
yes.
Yeah, had all of the lug nuts were loose on. There were only a few that were still good. You could.
And it's just, it was, but it's dangerous. And when you read the comments, you know what? It's true. All drivers aren't created equal, and that's why we've got to make sure we spend enough time training. There's no chance that the driver went out there wanting something bad to happen.
No, not at all.
He or she, they were lazy. Maybe they were uneducated. They were never told how to do it. Maybe they weren't trained that way.
Or they were late.
Yeah.
Or they were.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they pulled in.
And when you're late, what happens? You don't do the pre-trip or
Right,
post-trip.
you were
right?
late, or they ran over that was already loaded. Right, It was a preloaded trailer.
Yeah.
So they went and hooked up to it and took off. And I'm telling you right now, if it's a preloaded trailer, it's still necessary. It is the onus is on you to always check your equipment before you leave.
Even when you're running late. Some things don't change. When you're late, you're just late.
Exactly.
And that's something that we want you to learn to just accept, is that when you're late, you're late. Dispatch, when they're late, they're late. There's nothing you can do to unlate them. And it's not the right thing to encourage them to go faster, to make any kind of insinuation. They are late. It just is what it is. Folks, when you're late, you still have to do the pre-trip, post-trip.
Exactly.
You still got to follow the posted speed. You still have to drive safe. You still have to have the same following distance.
Absolutely. You're
just late. It is what it is. We've got to learn to take that and set it aside, because when you are late, and when you're in your mind you're late, you just begin to break every law out there. Right. It's just what you do. Yeah. We do it in the four-wheelers, and you do it in your truck. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day. Continue to watch over us. Be with us to help us separate some of these things in our mind. Lord, when we're late, I tell you, we struggle with it, and we want to go fast, or we want to break these things. We want to just get there on time, and we ask that you give us that ability to just accept it and so we can maintain a safe vehicle. Continue to watch over us. Be with this world, this crazy, crazy world. Watch over the leaders. Help us all just get along, to help us all do the right thing. Give us the wisdom to be the best people for you, the best people for our companies, the best people for our families. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen. Everybody, I want to thank you. I want to encourage you to just accept it. If you're late right now, you're still late. Let it go. Focus on safety. I beg you and plead you, focus on the safety and still doing all the things you must do. Don't take any shortcuts. This is BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation.